Oh, man. How are we doing, everybody? I wanted to give you a day. I needed a day to... I don't even know. I'm not over it. I'm upset. I'm dejected. Oh, man. It's very, very upsetting. But I hope you're all doing fantastically well as you can be doing. You know, I hope you're healthy and all that good stuff. Leeds battered yesterday by Manchester United, which leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. A really, really tough watch. Which was compiled by the slowest start since the tortoise and the hare. It was just, it was difficult to watch. But anyway, get your comments in. I hope everyone's all right. Let's just move on, beat them at home. We need to realise scum of billions pumped into them yearly. Yearly. One of their players cost multiple times as much. We gave the ball away too many times. We were punished. I think our heads went down for about 10 minutes, but the rest of the game we kept going. Hi, pal. Been waiting for this. How you doing, Paul? Keep calm. Did we play badly or did they play good? As a fan base, we can be fickle sometimes. We can't win every week. McTominay and Fred aren't good enough, eh? I don't think it was that difficult. Do you? Flipping heck. It wasn't that difficult, mate, was it? God, they're not world beaters, are they? But listen, I can't win here. And I want you to know this is a disclaimer. There will be people who batter me for these comments and people who think I'm right. This is what I do with this channel. So I want you to all know that don't come at me for saying one thing. So I'm just being honest with you. I get one side, we were rubbish, but I get the other side, they were good. They were too good. You know, they've got millions and millions. You can't win. So I'm just putting that as a disclaimer out there at the start. Now, some positives to start with, and stay with me towards the end because we're going to end on some positives because we need to, don't we? God, we need to. Already, we've got 17 points. Now, overall, so far, we are second in the past, I think it's 5 or 6 years for the promoted teams in this division for points at this period in the season. So we're doing very, very well. It's 14 games, 17 points. It's the second highest of the past 5 years for the promoted side. So that's a real positive. Only Sheffield United had more last season with 19 points. The rest have a lower points tally by this point. So that's a real, real positive because we know the ultimate aim is not for Champions League. It's not for the Europa League. It's not even for top 10 people. Believe it or not, it's not. It's to stay in this division. And I think that whole reality baton needs to hit some people around the head because we ain't getting in the Champions League. We might be a big club, but we're not getting in the Champions League. We're not getting in the Europa League. And believe it or not, some of you will come in here and say, well, there's no people who think that. There are people who think that. Go on Twitter. There are definitely people who think that. And I know Twitter's not the barometer of logic, but there are a lot of people who do still seem to think that we're going to go to Chelsea away, beat them 3-0, go to Manchester United away, beat them 3-0. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. It's not, and it never was going to happen, you know. But it was a difficult one to take yesterday. Broken on the inside, and I completely agree with you. Our back line cost about 5 million, and I would agree. I think that showed yesterday. We scored on a corner. Fire away, Conor. You're entitled to your opinion. I appreciate that, mate. Click. Oh, man. Wait till... Got to calm down. But listen, let's get into it. And if you are a Manchester United fan, hello. I seem to have gone up in subscribers overnight to see my pain. So it's good that you're not bothered about us and you do search out for Leeds channels to come and batter with comments. So clearly not bothered about us. But listen, the whole slow starters thing for Manchester United, well, I mean, that was thoroughly put to the test, wasn't there? And it didn't really fit the narrative, did it? Manchester United at home being notorious slow starters for a long period of time now, not just this season. And Leeds are sort of slow but quick starters. We're not anywhere in the middle. And Leeds, by golly, inside 3 minutes, the game was over. And I was just absolutely seething inside 3 minutes. They started with James, Rashford and Martial. Solskjaer knew what he was doing. He played the game. He knew that pace was going to hurt us. He knew that pressure on our fullbacks was going to hurt us, and it did. What I will say is to maybe opposition fans or people, you know, who are coming on this and just absolutely slapping the back line. We didn't have a single centre-back of our new centre-backs. You know, Llorente and Koch, who are summer signings, weren't available. You know, we had a left winger at left back, a right back at centre back, a right winger at right back, a striker at centre midfield. So this is what we're working with right now. And let's be honest, guys, there's 9 championship players in there as well. There's 9 championship players in there. Someone came up to me at Twitter and said, or Facebook, I can't remember what it was, and said, well, so you're calling Calvin Phillips championship now? No, but Calvin Phillips hasn't played at this level for long enough to be classed as an elite player yet for me. You know, he was a championship player last year. The only 2 elite players that we've got in our starting 11, that's changed from last year, is Rodrigo and Rafinha. Now, you need to take that into account when you're playing against a team like Manchester United, who've had over $1 billion spent on them. And, you know, really, when you look at the metric of money, it should be more than 6-2. It probably, the gap should be about 10-2. It should be 11-2 with the metric of what we've spent. You know, you forget that in the Championship, we didn't have the parachute luxury payments of building a squad over year on year on year of Fulham and West Bromwich Albion. We were 15th and 16th, completely left in the doldrums for years and years and years. Then Radrizzani came and spent all our money on the manager, and Bielsa just improved those players, and those players are now playing in the Premier League. Look at the collective value of our back line yesterday. I think it was 4.7 million. What was Man United's? 185. So you've got to take that into account. Leeds were battered with injury. We were absolutely battered with injury. But as I said in the pre-match build-up, what did we need to do? We needed to turn up. Every single player, as I've just spoken about the rhetoric there of money, every single player needed to be 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10. And what happened again? Silly, stupid individual errors. And this is what I'm talking about, which gets me furious. It's not about the monetary value. It's not about them spending billions and billions of pounds, whatever it is, on their squad. I don't take too much interest. But them spending all that money on their squad and us not spending enough, because Leeds are never done by moments of quality. We've rarely been done. I can think of Mo Salah. Maybe the Chelsea breakaway from the third. I can't think of many moments this year, Eze's free kick for Palace, where we've been done by moments of absolute quality where you think, wow, that's the Premier League. It's individual errors. It's not being elite in an elite system. And this is what I can't wait for with Bielsa, because at Bilbao, because at Marseille, because at the clubs that he's been at, Argentina, Chile, what he's had his system, but he's had elite players in that system. He's never worked with a squad this poor. Bielsa has never worked with the caliber of squad this poor. So apart from probably, Rosario, his days there, obviously, but I mean in Europe, he's never worked with the squad at this caliber. So he needs to build. So hence, when we're looking at Michael Cuisance from Bayern Munich, who was going to fit into that number 8 role, that had to been perfect, because we'd have had someone to compete with Matthias Klick, someone who could slot in next to Rodrigo, someone who could be combative as well, and someone who maybe was better defensively or is better defensively. This is the guy who's starting for Marseille pretty much week in, week out there. So he's a quality player. I just want us to get to next season and for us to build that elite squad, like Wolves have done, to build that elite squad to fit in that elite system, which unfortunately now when you play teams like Man United, it's going to take us years to even compete. But you look at Wolves as like a blueprint, as Radrizzani has said, it's going to take us years to get to that level. But Manchester United just have the parity in squads is unbelievable, and it showed yesterday. But it just irritated me so much, the individual errors. Let's speak about them anyway, and then we'll get into the tactical side of things. The first goal, Matthias Klick just loses his man. Rafinha, obviously, we're pushing forward, and what we do naturally, Leeds, is we push the 8s forward, and we leave a huge hole for, we've got the fullbacks forward, the 8s go forward, Bamford's forward. So we're leaving 3 players at the back, and then you've got a counter-attack of Rashford, James, Martial, McTominay, who we made look like Zidane yesterday, and Fernandes. So when they were tailor-made for Leeds United. If you could pick one team in that division for Manchester United to face, it's Leeds, because of their quality on the counter-attack and how they just sit and then bashes. And I just... It was one of those games where we started flat, and we start flat in some games. We've seen that before, and we've conceded the early goal. we start extremely flat. Click doesn't track his man. McTominay's in there and fires a really nice finish in. Now, with 90 seconds later, Click's lost him again. He's lost him again. You know, you forget that this is a guy who's not Ronaldo. A lot of Manchester United fans don't think he's of that quality. And don't get me wrong, like we said, we keep talking about the billions and billions and billions. But you need billions and billions and billions of pounds spent on a side to be able to track your man. Because Matthias Click hasn't been doing that all season defensively. He's been poor defensively. I've come on this channel 4 or 5 weeks ago and I've said this and I've got battered by some people in the comments. I'm not talking about his innovativeness. I'm not talking about his creativity, his dynamism, his pragmatism going forward and how good he is in that role. But Matthias Click is a poor midfielder when it comes to tracking his man. He does it consistently. He does it consistently. We've picked it out at Fulham, at Crystal Palace, at Chelsea, at Manchester United. It doesn't matter on the level of opponent. Click is not great at tracking his man. He's really not. And this is why we get breached in the midfield so often. With Leeds, the game is won and lost in the midfield pretty much week in, week out. It's nowhere else on the field. And Click got exposed yesterday and we'd lost the game inside 3 minutes. And it was basic, just tracking your man. That's all we needed. There's no moments of quality. No moments of quality. Nice finish from McTominay at the start, but he doesn't get that shot away if Click's on him. You know, and the fitness, we're elite fitness. We're above Manchester United fitness-wise. We run more than any other team in the division. So surely Matthias Click should be right on his toes. McTominay, he's man-marking him. And this is what we were saying in the preview. If they breach that man-marking system, we're screwed. We're absolutely screwed. And there was so much space in that midfield. And listen, and we're going to get onto the positives at the end, guys. We're just reviewing the game. Don't worry. I'm not berating the side, but we're talking about the game, the individual areas where Leeds United could have improved. We're talking about this isn't a collective on the season. We're doing brilliantly. And we'll get there at the end. You know, as I've said, we're doing extremely well in comparison to other promoted sides. That's what you've got to contextualize it. But Leeds are not going to be getting top 8. It's not going to happen. Some fans need to get out of the mindset. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry. But yeah, we needed 10 out of 10 performances. We didn't get 10 out of 10 performances yesterday. Now, what did Manchester United do? Well, they played a mid-block. They didn't press us too high. But what they did was Martial cut off the space between Cooper and Ayling. So they weren't able to properly connect. You know, we always see the centre-backs playing amongst each other, don't we? And looking for spaces going forward in that offensive third. That didn't happen. Martial would always cut off that ball, which would force Leeds to go out wide. Then you would get Dan James pressing. Then you would get Rashford pressing, forcing Leeds to go long. Manchester United recovered the ball. And we saw this consistently throughout the first 20 minutes, all the time. You know, it's difficult to say this. It's extremely difficult to say this, but Manchester United tied up Phillips. You know, they'd done a job because even when they were going forward, Fernandes would sort of swarm around Phillips. He wouldn't let Phillips out of his eyesight. Anytime Leeds had come forward, that role was completely cut off. So Phillips wasn't getting the ball often enough. And when Phillips doesn't get the ball often enough, he can't get his range. He can't get into the game. And Phillips, I'll be honest with you guys, I come on here all the time and talk about how good Phillips was. We'll get on to another goal, which was his fault in a second. And just him being a bit sluggish, but you've got to come out and be honest. He wasn't good enough yesterday and he deserved to be taken off. And I thought Struijk actually performed a lot better than him in the second half. We looked a little bit more defensively structured in the second half, even though it's still end to end. But I thought Phillips was poor and I thought Click was poor. Two massive players for Leeds United who have to turn up for us to be able to develop, for us to be able to win any single game. Those two are pivotal players for Leeds United, and they weren't good enough yesterday. I don't know if it was performance anxiety, you know, Old Trafford, whatever it was, even without any fans there, but they didn't turn up. I thought other players were much better than those two, but we need those two to turn up. And as I said, the lanes were cut off, and Manchester United did that very well. But the game was lost in the midfield. The eights was consistently bombing forward and trying to look for the flick on. So Bamford had come deep. We'd try overload the midfield, which was actually quite good. We would overload that midfield. Bamford would come back, and then you would get Click and Rodrigo trying to bomb on forward. Paddy would try and knock it on, and they'd try steam forward. But the thing is, it has to be so accurate, because if the ball's from Dallas, if the ball's from, even Luke Ayling, if the balls from Rafinha or Jack Harrison are not precise on the money with how quickly we play football, were getting picked off. And especially in that midfield, Rafinha in the first half was giving the ball away so much in that midfield. McTominay would pick it up, Fred would pick it up, and they'd drive through the middle, and Leeds were committed forward. So this is why sometimes Leeds do need to... We can play quick football, but it doesn't always have to be 1-2 touch passes. It doesn't always have to be like that in every single transition, every single phase of play, because we'll lose the ball and we completely get dominated in the midfield. We've seen this throughout the season. When Leeds lose the ball, we're completely outnumbered. But you know, and I just I don't know. I think it was one of those where we didn't quite get into it. You know, we didn't quite get into it. Sorry, just blocking some thugs in the chat there, guys. Not football fans, are they? But yeah, let's get on to a few more notes anyway. The 4-1-4-1, and as I said, we need to be consistently good. We have to be very, very good for us to be able to work this in the 4-1-4-1 against a team like Manchester United, who were counter-attacking. What we said at the start, Harrison was going to struggle against Aaron Wan-Bissaka. We did the preview. If you watch the preview, Aaron Wan-Bissaka is an elite player when it comes to defending one-on-one. He's naff going forward, but an elite player in one-on-one battles. Jack Harrison is not good at one-on-one offensive plays. He's not good at taking his man on and delivering the ball. He's not good enough at it. So straight away, I mean, I was calling for it at the start. I think you lose something from Rafinha, putting him on Jack Harrison's side. But if you're going to play with Jack Harrison on that left-hand side, you're pretty much wasting a player. You have to turn it up. So that's what they did within about 15 minutes. It wasn't working straight away, and they had to switch over. And Rafinha got more joy against Wan-Bissaka. You know, we're getting a little bit more corners. He was going for the take-ons a lot more. But I just don't think Jack Harrison is confident in the take-ons a lot. And this is why I always hark back to him maybe being a left back or a left wing back. That's what I always say, because I don't think he's got the winger's attributes personally. You know, he was wonderful against Newcastle, and I'm not doubting the fact that he's not good going forward and he's not got a great finish on him. But I think his athleticism, his physical prowess as well, he's got a good jump on him. I think he'd be a brilliant left wing back if we were able to maybe change it up. But I don't think going forward his balls in are good enough consistently, and I don't think in front of goal he's that confident, even with what we saw against Newcastle the other night, because that doesn't happen consistently enough. But yeah, anyway, yeah, it was big with KP. It was massive, and when he gets taken out, which happened, we really struggled. And I thought they had quite a good balance, Manchester United, through the game. I thought they had a really good balance. And this is what killed us. It's what absolutely killed us. But generally beaten in the midfield. And I thought Klich made McTominay look like Zidane. As I said, I mean, this wasn't just for the second and third goal. You look to the fifth goal when Dan James scored, coming through the midfield again. Klich completely lost him. McTominay driving through the middle again. And just for Manchester United fans, if you're not going to come up against a team as open as Leeds every single week. So, you know, yeah, he played well yesterday, did McTominay, but I think any player in the Premier League would play extremely well given that amount of space. You look at Anguissa, who I constantly talk about for Fulham, who had all that space against us for Fulham, and you know, Eze as well. All these players in the midfield, Kante for Chelsea, have this free roam in midfield, because I don't think we're defensively good enough in that midfield transition. I don't think we're good enough. But yeah, Fernandes was unbelievable. I thought KP was being dragged left, right, and Charlie. He didn't really know what was going on, to be quite honest with you. But third goal, once again, Fred comes forward, unchallenged, plays that ball in. They get the goal. I think the fourth goal was the one that really, and this is once again when we talk about the millions and millions spent. Okay, well, let's bring that back. Okay, the millions and millions spent. So once again, a corner floated in, nodded on from the near post. Martial beats Dallas in the air. Is that to do with millions and millions? Is Martial showing elements of world-class ability getting that flick on? No, is it? No, he's not. He's not showing world-class ability. Anybody can get a flick on in that area. You can get a Sunday League player getting a flick on in that area. The issue was he wanted that more in that early phase. He wanted it more. He flicked it on. And then KP's man-marking Lindelof. KP loses him, doesn't know where he is, discombobulated, doesn't know what's going on. Lindelof drives in 4-0. And this is what I'm talking about. So straight away, you've got 3 or 4 goals there, which are basic individual errors, not raw £1 billion worth of quality. And we're 4-0 down in the first half. That's inexcusable. And that's why I was so annoyed yesterday. Here let's have a look. Conor, Bielsa sent our players out for slaughter. Stop blaming the players. I feel it's difficult for me not to look at that because we've lost 6-2, and I feel like I've given quite good validation for the fact that it's individual errors and it's not been switched on. Bielsa can't do much about that. That's the way we play football. You know, that's not going to change, is it? That's naturally not going to change. Did you expect us to go there and be defensively solid yesterday? It was never going to happen. This is how Bielsa plays. It's open, expansive football. It's how he's played throughout his entire career. I would expect our men to follow their markers in a man-marking system. That's what I would expect. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm being too harsh there, and it's all Bielsa's fault. Bielsa's fault who got us here, by the way. Bielsa's fault who stands us in this points tally where we are 14th and where we're clear of the relegation zone. And I think we're going into the new year in a really good position. To be quite honest with you, I think when you get men switching off for 4 goals inside the first half, that's not Bielsa's fault for me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just deluded. But yeah, as I said, Strike came on and it didn't really change that much. I thought we defensively looked a little bit better. The second half we looked okay, but I said we looked okay. We didn't, and we could have got back into the game. We had 17 shots, I think. Harrison's at the end, and oh my god, I mean, and that's what I talk about with Harrison. He does that against Newcastle, but against Newcastle, we've got, where you throw on goal, there's no one within 10 yards of you, and you put it 2 yards wide, in the last minute. And, it is one of those, I think, where we just weren't on it. We weren't on it, but we need to be on it to win games like that. And I think it is a dose of reality for a lot of fans, because I think genuinely a lot of fans believe that we're going to excel. And I don't know if any team in this system, in the elite league, will ever do incredibly well, because whatever players you have in this system, whether or not you're Bilbao, Espanyol, Marseille, whoever you are, you'll play lovely football, which is entertainment, it's sport, it's what I love to watch, it's why I'm proud to be Leeds, it's why I'm proud to be Bielsa. But I don't know if you'd ever win anything, because it's too open. You can score as many goals as you want, but you will never keep clean sheets in abundance. You know what I mean? But I'm so proud to be Leeds, and I was proud of how we went there yesterday. Individual errors do my absolute nuts in when it's avoidable, and this is what I was just been talking about now. But I genuinely think Leeds are a breath of fresh air in this boring division. From promoted sides, you get boring sides come up consistently, sit 10 men behind the ball, play corner, set piece football, try win headers, and this is why it's a breath of fresh air. Leeds been in this division. And it's going to be advantageous for teams like Manchester United, for teams like Chelsea, but it's not going to be advantageous for teams like Newcastle, for teams like Fulham, for teams like that, who are going to be able to really hurt. And we'll have learned a lot in this first half of the campaign. We'll have learned a lot. We'll have become a lot more rigorous in terms of where Bielsa will pinpoint for the next half of fixtures, where we need to improve. We may do things in January, and there is still a lot of positives to take away from this. We're not expected to go and beat Manchester United at Old Trafford. That's not an expectance. But what I would expect is 100% focus and concentration from the players from moment one, and for us not to have the game lost inside 3 minutes. And I think that's extremely harsh to blame that on Bielsa. And I don't think it's a lamb to slaughter thing, because we've drawn again. We've lost to Liverpool 4-3. We've drawn against Man City. We should have beaten Man City. I know it's Arsenal, but they've got a higher quality of player than we have. We should have beaten Arsenal. Chelsea, yeah, fair enough. For me, they're still the best team we've faced this season. But we've been there or thereabouts with top sides, and yeah, I just think it's horses for courses, isn't it? Aren't good enough for what? Staying up? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying for winning titles, you know what I mean? And for winning cups, I think it's always going to be a little bit difficult for our team with this calibre of player that we've got to be able to play open, expansive football and not be hurt. I think we're always going to be hurt, and I think it's going to need surgery with elite players coming in for me in the the years coming ahead, and that's what I personally think. I think we'll stay up 100%, and that's what we're looking at, isn't it? That's what we're looking at, staying up, guys. There's been loads of comments loads of comments coming in. If you wouldn't mind liking the video, that'd be amazing. Let's have a look at what some of you are saying. I agree, that's not Bielsa's fault. I was impressed by Leeds, even though you were 5-1 down, you kept on pressing and coming at us. Ankit, I appreciate that. It's nice to actually see some humble fans on this channel. I feel like I've given Manchester United quite a lot of credit in this video, and you know, I don't like doing that, but I try to be unbiased. But I think you look at the teams that have come up and what teams do in this division. Leeds United are a breath of fresh air, and we're going to stay in this division. So what's the expectation? What you know, I'm getting vexed because I don't want to go to Manchester United, and as I've just said, be 4-0 down within 30 minutes or whatever it is. But we kept going. We kept banging on the drum. You know, if you are a Manchester United fan, you listen to what Neville said, you listen to what McTominay said, you listen to what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said about how impressive Leeds are and about how great they are to watch and how they have to do that preparation. McTominay in his post-match interview was just talking about the reams and reams and reams of preparation that they have to do when they're playing Leeds United. I mean, for goodness sake, do you think they have to do that for Burnley? Do you think they have to do that for West Brom without no disrespect? But they don't. It's on a different level. You know, and you can say, oh, Conor, you're bigging us up way too much. But unfortunately, in this division, what it's going to be, we're going to beat Newcastle 5-2 one week, and then we're probably going to lose 3-0 one week. That's going to happen with this system and with this caliber of player. It's logic and it's realism. That's what's going to happen with Leeds United in this division. But we will win more games. That will keep us in this division. You look at it realistically, and how many more points do we need to stay up? How many more wins do we need to stay up? What, 5, 6? Is that what we're looking at? If we're looking at the standard margin of staying in this division? So if you're looking at that, 5 or 6 more wins, that for me is doable. You know, and then we can look at whatever. As Ollie says here, this time last year, we're losing Sheffield Wednesday. We'll be okay, but a lot of players didn't do their basic job yesterday, march on together. It's a perfect comment, that, mate. So Bielsa won the championship. He cannot be critiqued. Bielsa's got 9 championship players in that side, and he's completely regenerated this entire squad. And we play a system. What would be the differential? Us going to a back 5, us changing our complete style, our ethos, what's got us here, what's got us 14th in the division. By the way, I respect your opinion, mate. Football's subjective, but what would you have us do? You know, what would you have us do? Would we go 5, 6 at the back? Would we do what Burnley do when they go to Manchester City? No one talks about when Burnley go to Manchester City and lose 5-0. No one talks about that. Burnley go to Manchester City and sit deep. They defend. They keep it tight. They look for set-piece winners. We don't. They still lose 5-0. We go to Manchester United and go for it, have 17 shots on goal, lose 6-2, and we're the ones getting battered for it. It's unbelievable. It's whatever fits the media's narrative for me. It's a lack of quality. Conor says ST. I'd completely agree with that. Ollie thinks he's a genius now. Yeah, I mean, he did. To be fair, Solskjaer did sort of, you know, what Daniel James's 3rd start. You know, he knew what was coming with Leeds, and how Martial cut off Cooper and Ayling's relationship. Like, that's clearly been worked on. You know, how McTominay was pressing so high. The quality of United's bench was ridiculous. Thank you for your donation, mate. I really appreciate that. I'd completely agree as well. I mean, you look, they didn't start Pogba. This is what we're coming up against. Paul Pogba didn't even start. Greenwood didn't even start. Do you know what I mean? So it's always going to be difficult. It's always going to be massively difficult for Leeds United. We're going to get beat by Crawley. Okay. We need some quality additions in January. Sam, do you think we're going to get that, mate? I'd like to know your opinion. Here we go. Amit says, as a Man United fan, what I can say is Bielsa's biggest mistake was that he thought Calvin Phillips could man-mark Bruno alone. Even PSG didn't do that. Bruno took your best player out of the game completely. It's a fair comment. It's what I've just mentioned. Amit's not saying anything that's completely, you know, incorrect there. He's correct. Fernandes did a complete job on Calvin Phillips defensively and offensively. You know, you forget the 3rd goal when we're going forward, that lovely little touch where Fred then marauded through our midfield. But what I'll say to you, Amit, is this is Bruno Fernandes. You know, this is Bruno Fernandes. He's on Kevin De Bruyne's level in terms of central attacking midfielders. This is Calvin Phillips, who has been absolutely superb. He's our golden boy. For me, he's still our best player. but we're a promoted side, mate. You know, we're not supposed to be on that level where Calvin Phillips can go and do that to Bruno Fernandes. But we have no alternative. We're a man-marking team. That is how we work. That's how we beat Newcastle 5-2. You know, that's how we've got results this season against Liverpool, Manchester City, Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? Like, we can't just die by the system for me. We have to die by the system. And I don't think we will die by the system. But yesterday was always going to be a lesson. Australia, pre-season friendly. Manchester United 4, Leeds United 0. The exact same game. Exact same game. If I was to blueprint going forward teams that fit the Leeds United style, it's Chelsea, Manchester United and Tottenham. They fit our style. So it's going to be much easier for teams like that to break through us, for me. What I will say, though, is I've just seen something on defensive set pieces. Sorin says, get tight on defensive set pieces, and with better centre-backs, we'll get a lot more points out of games. I completely agree with that. You know, and what about players on posts? How many times would we have actually, you know, so this part of Bielsa's ethos and philosophy and strategy, I would definitely change in terms of corners, prevention of corners. But what I would say, Soren, is a lot of it is individual battles. You look at Calvin Phillips losing out to Lindelof yesterday, Dallas losing out to Martial. There's no significant height difference there. There's no, you know, as I said before, there's not millions and millions and millions in the bank, which means that they can outstrength and you know, win their flick-ons and have that endeavour, energy and desire to beat their man. There's none of that. We've got to go and win our battles. We've got to go and be nasty. We've got to go and win that, like we saw with Cooper with the header. Brilliant header. Aggressive, you know, and we saw that with Strike in their box as well. Aggressive, and we didn't have that for that fourth goal. But men on the posts again, you know, would that have stopped that goal? You know, the Lindelof goal, man getting out on the post, and we saw that against the Kurt Zouma goal, the West Ham goal, Souček. Would a man on the, you know, who knows? But I do think that has to be looked at because we are woeful from set pieces. But we did score from one yesterday. As long as we get 4 points, says Theo, in the next two, I couldn't care less about that loss. It's just this perfect, Theo. It's absolutely perfect. As long as we get 4 points in the next two, I couldn't care less about that loss. It just stung because it was scum. And if you're a Manchester United fan on here and you knew you're young, you know, Leeds hate Manchester United. So it meant so much to us, that game, to at least go there and show you Bielsa ball. This is what we're all about, and not go 2-0 down inside 3 minutes. If we'd have kept it tight, 10, 15 minutes, and then you'd have scored or whatever, but we'd have come back at you, which we've done against so many clubs this year. But the fact it was dead and buried by 20 minutes in, and we weren't able to show, we weren't able to. This is why we came to the Premier League. You know, this is why I've been waxing lyrical about Bielsa ball, because we want to go into these games and be like, yeah, Liverpool, yeah, City, yeah, Arsenal, yeah, Man United. This is what we're all about. You know, Leeds United, this is our system. You know, we don't have the caliber that you have, but we'll go at you. And I think we did that throughout the game. But I wanted to do that from the very off. And we were slack, we were lethargic, and we were rudderless in that first sort of 20 minutes. And as I keep saying, there wasn't any individual quality from Manchester United that shone out, probably apart from Bruno Fernandes. It was just basic errors from Leeds. Let's have a look. What some of you guys are saying. It's a Manchester United team filled with players like Bruno, Martial, Rashford. Yeah, 100%. Do you think Cresswell should have a go considering the injuries we have? And I've got that on my sheet as well, guys. Cresswell was absolutely brilliant today in the under-23s. And you know, Leeds United under-23s 7, Fulham under-23s 1. Yeah, it's insane, isn't it? 5-2 Newcastle, 6-2 Man United. Our under-23s 7-1. Leeds United is just goals, isn't it? And, you know, that's why we are so brilliant to watch, but we're so... My anxiety is through the roof this season because of Leeds United. But another really positive thing is we have scored as many goals, 24, as the bottom 3 combined. So, you know, there's a stat in itself, you know, and this is why, you know, what's our main objective this year? To stay in the division, and I think we can do that. And as Paul says, we're still up with Arsenal. So, 5-1-2-1 melee, centre backs Llorente, Koch, Coops, left wing back Harrison, right wing back Dallas, centre defensive midfield Phillips, bring one in. Yeah, I mean, I like that. So that's nice. And Bielsa's played such a variance of formations in his other clubs. He's played so many. It's not just been the 4-1-4-1 and the 3-3-1-3, which is interesting. The only other team that plays this 4-1-4-1 is Leicester, who play Manchester next. Yeah, they do. But once again, David, they've got better players. You know, this is a Premier League winning side in Leicester, isn't it? Not long ago. So this is what I'm talking about. With, you know, the caliber of players that we've got is arguably one of the worst in the division. You know, some may argue it's the worst on the collective, on the whole, in terms of individual quality. You know, some may argue that. I'm not saying that, but some may argue that. Subjective. Need to invest in January. Not going to get relegated. Not going to get relegated if we don't. But we need to invest to progress as a team. Competition for Click, Bamford, a new centre back would help. Jack, yeah, completely agree with you there. He's bang on the money. I would like investment in the team in the key areas. For me, still the number 8 role's it. The number 8 role's it. A lot of people talk about the defence, but what about the central midfield role when players are marauding forwards, coming through our middle passage, as we talk about on the previews, as we talk about on the reviews, that constantly exposes Leeds United, which means Liam Cooper has to come out and go for the, you know, the man who's coming forward. You know, your Kantes or your Součeks or your Declan Rices, or yesterday, you know, the McTominays. You draw our centre back out and then they've got space in and behind. The midfield defensively is a big problem. That could arguably be as big a problem as the set pieces, because that's how you'll never see teams really hitting us on the flank in open play. It never really happens. It's always through the middle. Need another box-to-box player. I would completely agree with that. Alioski's going to give us a heart attack. Richard, long time subscriber to the channel. Gutted about the result, but our season won't be defined by games like this. Survival is the objective, and games against the likes of West Bromwich Albion and Burnley are the games that will define our season. And it's this whole notion, isn't it? When we're in the Premier League last, you know, what was it, 2002? Champions League stuff, you know, and we were always, you know, for what, the whole 90s pretty much, we were brilliant in the Premier League, top 4, top 5, you know, bad season, top 6. And I think a lot of people still think we can get to that period of time right now, but it's not. We're a different club right now, different regime, different era, different caliber of players. Everything's changed. We've missed out on generations of people, you know, generations of players and all this sort of stuff. So we need to manage expectations a little bit more. It's just relegation we want to get away from this season. Look at Aston Villa, you know, how they were able to bring surgery to their squad and bring lots of good caliber players in. As a hark back to when Wolves came up, obviously they did fantastically well, but their second season they built again, and now they're building again. It's all about that sustainability. Stay in the Premier League. That's it. Build, 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 build. It's a project. 2 holding midfielders required. San Francisco 49ers coming in with money. We've heard that as well. Entertaining football, but I think this style can only get us so far. Still a good foundation for us to build on. Yeah, 100%. Where is Alan Smith lately? I saw him interviewed, actually. I didn't really give off a good vibe, to be honest. I think he said on his interview that the guy said, would you celebrate if you scored against Leeds United? And he went, I'm not going to disclose that information. All right, Smith. But yeah, listen, guys, that's going to be. I've been going on for 40 minutes. I'd really appreciate. The like on the video if you would. A like on the video and just a little comment in the comment section below if you fancy it, and I'll try reply on all the comments. I always try and do that. Thank you to all my new subscribers. Timo with the comment of the video. Imagine thinking Leeds are a big club, deluded as Arsenal. Yeah, okay, Tim. No one said that, but yeah. Yeah, brilliant. You've got to love the opposition fans. They've never got a profile picture, and they always come on giving abuse. It's always brilliant. You got to love it. You got to love social media, haven't you? You've got to love it. But as I said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you didn't enjoy the video, just slap a dislike. I'm going to get a few of them. But if you did enjoy the video, slap a like, and we'll be back. Leeds versus Burnley, 12 o'clock. I believe it's the 27th. Guys, it will get better. Don't worry. It's just an outlier. We're doing fantastically well at the minute. Have a good one, guys. Have a great Christmas. And I'll see you in a bit.